I started this podcast at a point in time where there was nothing going on, really. I mean, COVID had just hit. Everybody had hit pause on their business. And we were still looking for deals, but financing was challenging. We were all just really worried about where the market was going, where the world was going. And I have far more time to dedicate to the podcast back then than I do now. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the 250th episode on the Multifamily Wealth Podcast. Just an absurd milestone. I wanted to record a quick podcast episode thanking everybody who has listened over the last 4+ years. I believe I launched this early 2020, and we're over 4 years in, which is ridiculous. I don't think I would have guessed that we'd get to 250 episodes, that we'd get to just 4 years of recording episodes on the podcast feed. It's so funny for me to actually scroll back and listen to some of the episodes in that first 12-month, the first 24-month period of time where I had a terrible mic. I didn't really know how to interview anyone. And I just knew a fraction of what I've learned in that period of time, just as it relates to running a real estate business. Like, our real estate business has changed completely in the last 4 years. And it's been really cool to go back and listen to kind of how I viewed different parts of the business and different topics and all of that 4 years ago, 3 years ago, even 2 years ago, comparatively to what we're doing today. And a couple of things as it relates to what's coming in the future on the podcast. I've been a little bit lackadaisical around staying consistent with the 2 episodes a week schedule. Most weeks this year in 2024, we've done 2 episodes. But things have slacked a little recently as the core real estate business has really just started taking off. We've done, I think so far this year, we've done 13 deals. We have another 4 under contract right now. We're going to buy a couple hundred units this year, the majority of which are 5 to 30 units in size. So we do a high volume of deals, and we've done a significant amount of units relative to what our average deal size is. And that business has just been demanding a lot of my attention. I started this podcast at a point in time where there was nothing going on, really. I mean, COVID had just hit. Everybody had hit pause on their business. And we were still looking for deals, but financing was challenging. We were all just really worried about where the market was going, where the world was going. And I have far more time to dedicate to the podcast back then than I do now. And my goal for the rest of this year and into the future with the podcast feed is to start recording more episodes with guests, to be a little bit more diligent about getting 1 guest episode up a week, because I know listeners appreciate those. That said, I've gotten a lot of great feedback on the solo episodes, specifically because they're very actionable. You can listen to them in a very quick drive or, quickly at the gym. And I think people are getting a lot of very quick tactical information out of those. So still going to be doing those as well. I'm probably going to be reposting some trainings that I do for other real estate investors, networking groups, or podcast appearances on other people's feeds as well, especially if it's related to a specific topic. And that way it's basically a longer form solo episode, but that's more interview based. And I think a lot of the folks listening to this podcast are going to get some value out of those. And I'm going to be doing more Friday feedback episodes. So if you're hoping to share a topic with me that you'd like me to discuss on a Friday feedback episode, shoot me an Instagram DM at Multifamily Wealth, and I'll be sure to file it away for one of the next episodes that I do that are Friday feedback themed. And if you know of any great guests for the podcast, if you have anyone that comes to mind you think would be a great guest, send that to me as well. Now, the other objective of this episode is that we're going to be running a very special promotion for the 2 programs that we sell, 7-day multifamily program and the off-market multifamily deals program, where we're going to be selling those with an incredible coupon, $250 off both of those if you use the code 250 off, which cuts the price of the 7-day course more than in half, and it cuts the price of the off-market deals course by 1/3. We never do promotions. I never do coupon codes. I want everyone who ever buys one of these programs to know that the price they're paying is not it's not going to be slashed in the short term and they're going to think they overpaid. But for 250 episodes on the podcast, I want to do something really special. I want to bring even more value to everybody who's been listening to this, who's been in kind of the network and the sphere for a while. So again, $250 off. I'm going to be putting the links to both of those courses in the show notes. And I'm also going to be recapping the promo code as well. And for those of you that aren't familiar, our 7-day multifamily program is an incredibly robust, comprehensive course that shows investors how to start, build, and scale their multifamily business. Over 10 hours of content in that program. everybody I know who's worked through it and jumped in there has received an immense amount of value. Took me 6, 7 months to create it. And basically anybody else would charge 10x what I'm talking about here. The off-market multifamily deals program, I actually warehoused that and we took it off the market for a while and stopped selling it because, frankly, I thought it was too valuable for the price that I was asking. I was going to repackage it into a more intensive program, a new kind of offering. But I'm going to break it out of retirement here. I've done a bunch of episodes on Rod Khleif's podcast, who's the host of the largest commercial real estate podcast, millions of downloads. And I basically brought it out of retirement because him and his team requested I do so that I could provide it to their coaching students who pay like $20,000-$30,000 a year for his program. But basically, as a result of that, I felt it'd be disingenuous to not offer it to my folks again. So that's going to be linked in the show notes as well. And quick summary is basically the entire premise of that program is to show investors how to build a robust pipeline of off-market multifamily deals. We've done 35, 40 deals in the last 3 years, depending on when you're listening to this, because we're under contract on 4 right now. All direct to seller, all at significant discounts to market value. We've built our business off of doing this. We found anything from duplexes to 40, 50, 60 plus unit portfolios going direct to seller at 75, 80% of market value. I mean, this is how we've blown our business up. So if you want to learn how to do that, again, that's going to be linked in the show notes. And again, $250 off to take $250 off the price. This is going to expire in 2 weeks' time. And the specific date is actually going to be August 27th. August 27th is the last day that you're going to be able to use this code. I highly recommend you jump in there before you forget and use it. And again, we want to do something really special for 250 episodes on the podcast. If you're not somebody who's interested in any of this, and I get it, right? I'm kind of pushing it down your throat right now. But you want to show your support in another way, and you think you know, if you've received any value from this podcast, if I've taught you anything over the last 4 years, or a guest who's been on the show has taught you anything, please consider leaving the podcast a rating and review. I believe we're right around 270 right now. I would love to get to 300 by the end of August. It's a huge milestone for us, and this podcast has truly become one of the highest rated commercial real estate podcasts in the entire business. If we get to 300-400 reviews, we're really approaching that top spot. I think we're currently only bested by Rod's podcast, obviously the Bigger Pockets podcast, and there's a few other commercial real estate podcasts as well that are kind of hovering around where we're at in reviews, but it's basically neck and neck. We're up towards the top, and for anybody who's got 2 seconds, even if you're looking at us on their phone, even if you're driving, right? Maybe not if you're driving, but if you're at a stoplight and you got 2 seconds, open up your phone, just hit 5 stars. Would really, really appreciate it because it helps the show get noticed by more folks. So again, I want to thank everybody who's listened over the last 4 years. Thank you very much. If you've listened over the last 3 years, thank you. 2, thank you. 1, whatever, however long you've listened to the podcast, I appreciate it. And for those of you who really have listened for the last 4 years, because I know there's like a good chunk of you guys. 1, I have no idea how you've kept your attention span and listened to me for this long, but I really, really appreciate it. This podcast has opened a lot of doors for me. It's brought a lot of investors into our business. It's really helped us scale both on the deal side and the capital side, both establishing partnerships, meeting LPs, etc. And I look forward to doing 250 more. I love doing this. I can't wait to continue iterating and spending a little bit more time and energy to grow the presence of the show as well. Something that I'd like to do by the end of this year is to actually build out kind of a proper studio and do more in-person interviews with people that are local to Boston and New England, and have people make the drive. Let's get in person. Let's set the cameras up, and let's actually turn these into a highly produced podcast, or into highly produced podcast episodes, I should say, above and beyond what we've been doing on Zoom. But again, the real promo, the real value that I can offer you here is if you want to go and learn the multifamily business from me in an extremely exhaustive format in terms of how deep we go into all topics related to multifamily, go check out 7 Day Multifamily. And if you want to find more off-market deals, if you want to find better deals, if you want to scale your multifamily business, go check out the off-market deals course. $250 off both if you use $250 off at checkout. But again, thank you all for listening, and I'll catch you guys next week on the next episode.